Hey everyone, it's Matt Pinfield. I'm coming to you in the studio in Santa Monica, California with the band Sons of Silver. And right here on my left is Mark, who plays the drums. We've got Peter, who plays guitar and sings. Brina right here, who does keyboards and also sings. We've got guitarist Kevin right here and Adam on bass. Guys, thank you so much for having me as your guest and getting to hang out and talk about this great new album, Runaway Emotions.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's an honor.
We got to talk about, Tell Me This, which is the new single.
Yeah.
And that line about,
I knew it was coming.
Yeah, can we talk about the
No.
No. But I love the song, and it's...
Thank you.
I'm a big Smiths fan, but I love the line about Smith's lyrics and a bomb strapped to your chest. So tell me about that. Is that because you're a fan of the Smiths? Is it more of an observation of somebody, a character, somebody that you knew?
A lot of stuff comes out, frankly, that I have no idea where it comes from. You know? During the making of this album, I was actually listening to Depeche Mode, like nonstop. And somehow I was listening to a playlist, whatever, radio on Spotify, and it got me into some Smith songs. So it got stuck in my head, their lyrics, and there's the darkness, but the comedy.
And sense of humor, absolutely.
In a really good way.
Yeah.
It's daring, it's unique, it's fresh, it's very British too.
Yeah.
Frankly, what happened was with this song is we were kicking around the idea for a few months, and I had that riff, the jinga jigga jigga jinga jigga jigga thing.
Yeah.
And the song was called "Now Hear This." I was in my political, moment. It just wasn't quite happening. It was like we got the riff, everyone was really digging that, and so we shelved it. Mark joins the band. After those first sessions, we really start getting to know each other. We play some shows together, and I find out, I can see it anyway that he loves punk rock. That's like, I write more like a folk singer, frankly. But in my heart, I would be like in the Clash or something. Like that. So I brought the idea back to the band. I said, can we revisit this? And immediately, it just worked. We tightened up a lackluster verse, made it exciting. I remember, Adam, you really push some of those chromatic runs in there. And in the meantime, I had changed the lyric to Tell Me This. Still thinking, I was clinging to the idea of making it a political statement song. But we really came together, and Mark really pushed it over the top energy-wise. So came down to finish the lyrics, because really all I had was Tell Me This, Tell Me This. And I'm still thinking that I'm going to make this a political song, like I was saying. So lyrics like strap a love bomb to my chest, and
there were a lot of different
but there were political things. It was strap a flag pin to my chest, because frankly, it's not a pro-American, anti-American thing, but when I see all these politicians putting flag pins on the chest, it's like the new thing for the last 10 or 20 years. You got to have this flag pin on your chest, and it rubs me wrong. And I kept trying to sing about that, and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't find a way to make the story work. It just wasn't coming out. And what kept coming out with this sort of love song, crazy bitch.
Yeah, crazy relationship.
Yeah, and we meet again. Oh, you're still crazy. Glad I left that one.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with you, honey.
Yeah.
Nothing.
No, but it's cool how you can take that and you can change that into...
How does it,
do you recognize my ass on your lips? Do you recognize my ass on your lips?
We oftentimes will go through, when he has some time to sit with lyrics, and he'll show me like, okay, this is A, B, C, these ideas, and we kind of go together. And when I read the Smiths line, I was like, oh yeah, you got to keep that. That's great.
I thought it would be too obscure.
No, I loved it.
Yeah.
Both of us were like, yeah, you got to do that.
Yeah.
And it actually didn't make the cut. I kept on saying, Peter, I think you got to put that in. And then Rob said, you got to put that in.
Yeah, he was like, it's rock and roll.
Yeah, it's rock and roll. And when we
manager.
got an okay from the other people not in the band, we're like, okay.
It was just one of those things, you just throw out lines to try to create an emotion, a feeling, and frankly, it made it more fun for me to sing. And then when these guys all gave it the thumbs up, it sort of liberated me, because it's a little crass.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
But it was fun.
Yeah.
But don't feel like look, the Smiths and Depeche Mode you mentioned is they're still two of the most streamed artists in the U.S. and the UK.
I'm
and
sure.
a lot of the world. They're two that always show up from England that are still have such an unbelievable hold and find new fans. So it's cool that you mentioned it in the.
You know what? I gotta tell you, that's actually, it turns out, one of my most proud moments, lyrically that is, because it's unusual. It references an influential artist, one that I always love, and people got it. Because again, I thought it was going to be this obscure thing, especially kids. I mean, they'll know U2, but the Smiths. It's not that they're not an equally great band for that period, but they didn't have the longevity. So the name doesn't stick around in people's eyes and ears as long.
Right, they weren't together for very long.
What was it? Only a few years, if I was right. Yeah. So when people really got it, I was like, it was actually refreshing and rewarding to me, because I was like, oh, okay, so this music's they're still thriving.
Yeah, and it also shows you there's hope for new young people coming up and finding old bands and meaningful bands all the time, which I love.
Yeah, because it's new to
so
them.
much great music. And it's not when people discover it, it's that they discover it. That's the most important thing. That's what I believe. And speaking of great people and working with you too, Tim Palmer produced this track. Tell me about your relationship with Tim and working with Tim on this record.
You know, we had tracked most of the album, and we were struggling to find the right person to mix it.
Because you produce most of it.
We produce the way we work.
Always do.
Yeah, we produce it. We're completely self-contained.
Yes.
It is only the 5 of us in the room.
Yes.
Rena's even though she plays keys in the band, but she's the engineer, and that's it. She's in the tracking room by herself. The rest of us work out stuff here. She chimes in. We go into the control room, listen to it, and then most of the overdubs are done by Brina and myself and Kevin, and Mark and Adam will chime in. Yes, no. Here's a different idea, but. You know, when it comes to mixing, we need a second set of ears who's in the room with us, but not in the room.
Well, also, we used to do, I mean, I would do it, and Kevin came in, and he would be my second set of ears, basically, and we would do it together. He would usually step out and kind of come in every once in a while and say, yeah, you guys are doing great, or, and have input. But there's no way we could have done it this time with
Tim's
the kid.
great
we have a 3-year-old, and it was already challenging there. So
having a fresh set of ears with someone that you respect.
Oh, it was so
all the great work
and
that
it's
Tim
still,
has done.
even at that, you're like, oh, how's this going to
It
go?
was scary.
So frankly, we got introduced to Tim, and I hit him up by email and said, hey, do you have time to mix some? He's like, I'm really busy right now. So I said, please check it out, and he's like, I checked out some of the other stuff, I really dig it, so sure, send it to me. So I sent him the track. He hits me up right away, and we had sent him the song Running Out of Words, and he instantly replied, said, I would love to mix this song. I'll find the time, I'll make the time. He goes, but I'm very slow. And I said, well, what's slow? He said, it takes me a week to mix the song often. And I'm like, as long as it's good, take all the time you need. And the interesting thing is, Tim had been on my personal short list of producers to work with for a number of years, but it was kind of like reaching into the stratosphere, for me. And so when we were introduced, much less he agreed to mix a track, I was like, wow, that's pretty awesome. And we got the mix, and I remember Brina and I were in the studio, and you sit down in front of the speakers to listen, and you hold your breath, and it starts, and instantly Brina looks at me, and she's sitting in the engineer's chair directly in front of the speakers, and she's got tears in her eyes. I have it on video. Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
And it's actually, honestly, it's making me well up, I swear to God, to say it, even this moment, because
you're such a relief.
You're pouring your heart and soul into this, into these recordings, in every single way, and not just in the moment of the recordings, but even what precedes them to get the whole project together. And to hear someone not only do a good job of it, but lift it to a level, frankly, that you didn't even think existed, is pretty remarkable.
He just got it. He understood how it needed to feel.
And he made a really wonderful comment to me, which was, he played it for his wife and made her cry, and it was like he says, one of the best songs I've missed in the last 10 plus years.
Wow.
And that meant a lot, and coming from someone of his pedigree, of his history. Nonetheless, we were on the phone, and I said, what do you think about mixing the whole album? And he said he would. It would just take a few months because, he had other projects he had committed to. He was going on a long-needed vacation. But we had a wonderful time mixing with him, and he mixed the rest of the album, and he brought a lot to the table. It wasn't just about moving faders and twisting knobs and adjusting EQs. He played some guitar, He played some additional keyboard parts on it, and he even sang on it.
That's
Some
great.
backgrounds, you know. And it's a funny thing because one of the, on Tell Me, I think it's Tell Me This. Yeah, he's singing some background vocals in the verses, and and I was trading messages with him, and I was saying, hey, you know, we really love the guitar pieces you added, just some sort of like breaks in the top of the chorus, and the way you treated Brina's background vocal, because it really made that chorus really shine. And he goes, yeah, it's great. He goes, but how about my background vocals?
Yeah.
And I said, I didn't really hear him. He said, listen, they're real subtle in the verse. So I listened, and I was like, oh yeah. And I'm like, that's really cool. I said, who do you think you are, Mutt Lang?
Yeah.
You know, because actually
Yeah.
Kevin and I were just watching the Hysteria.
And we know that Mutt Lang sang backing vocals on so many things.
Yeah, exactly.
That he worked on.
So
From AC/DC Records to Boomtown Rats to Bryan Adams, of course.
exactly.
Tim Palmer's great, though, you know, and it's amazing because having worked with U2 and so many other bands you respect and love. But the fact that he took that kind of personal interest, to me, that's when a producer is showing that they really care, and it's not just pushing buttons for a paycheck.
First time I heard the mix, I was just like, he took what we did and he accentuated everything in the right way and brought it out and gave it just the right edge. And I kind of like the mixers that are a little woolly, and he's got a little bit of that in that. And he provided that, which we needed.
Yeah.
Some bands might not need that. We needed that.
Yeah.
So it was perfect.
It worked out great.
Yeah.
Guys, I want to say thank you so much for giving us
Thank you.
time today.
Thank you.
Spend with you here in the studio.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
I'm
you
really
so much.
excited about the new record, which will be out soon. Do you have an idea of when you guys will release the album?
Probably late spring, early summer.
Okay, sounds great. Well, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Thanks so much for hanging out with me here, guys.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate
I'm Matt Pinfield here with Sons of Silver, hanging out today. Peter, Brina, Mark, Adam, and Kevin. What a great hang with you guys here in the studio. Much love and good
pleasure's
luck
ours.
to you.
Yeah, same
Thank
thing.
you.
I mean, it's been a great hang. It flew by for me. Make sure you check out their new album.
Tell me this.